As the chair of MEG's Regional Council and the mayor of a community working hard to address the homelessness, it's my pleasure to welcome each of you this morning. I was looking through the screens and I kept expecting us to go to 3 screens, and it looks like we just went there. But I'm amazed by the amount of incredibly intelligent people that I see on the screens. I know that each of your hearts are there, and we're all wanting to make a difference. But I do appreciate so many of you knowing a lot of your histories and what you do for your cities and for our community. I do know that each of us are facing difficult challenges associated with the homelessness within our communities, but also know that we're all working hard to find effective and timely solutions. You know, the key to addressing homelessness effectively is for all of us to come together, and we're doing just that. Discuss what's working well, try and coordinate our efforts in hopes of producing targeted and successful measures and solutions that benefit everyone in our community. This is not the first forum in this series, but it's a testament to the dedication of working together. Now, here in Glendale, we're innovating a new concept of a master services agreement. And through this agreement, we are encouraging agencies and service providers to work together to achieve outcomes in the homelessness. This will help us leverage the expertise of nonprofit agencies in a cost-effective, and that's so critical to all of us, in a streamlined way. We hope to share this as a model that can be replicated and appreciated, as appropriate scale to its regional model, so that we can amplify its efforts. Now, in order to be successful, this support must come from all sectors. I'm not telling any of you anything you don't already know. The business community can be a powerful ally to connecting people with jobs. This helps those experiencing homelessness attain self-worth and self-sufficiency, but it also empowers them to be part of the solution that our communities really need. We're all very focused on employment as being an essential part of a solution. In Glendale, through the Norton and Ramsey Social Justice Empowerment Center, we are partnering with local businesses and nonprofit agencies to conduct people with jobs and provide a pathway to stability. The solutions that we need, they cannot be implemented soon enough. And I know that that's true not only in our valley, in our city, in our state, but across the nation. We need to quickly build on significant outreach and research that's underway. And in a few minutes, we'll hear about the insights gathered at previously held forums, as well as the findings from the research conducted to develop our regional strategies. A key finding that we're aware of is that we need better data, and we need better access to the data that we have. With MEG, the Crisis Response Network, and others using partnerships to create new tools which provide us better data. And having this information will help us understand if what we're doing is working or not working, and how we can adapt and then also pivot quickly based upon those findings. This is not about research, it's about action. We need better data so we can take better actions that will drive better results. The number of people experiencing homelessness in our communities right now, it just continues to climb, but thankfully we also have more funding than ever before. We have more support than ever among our elected officials. Just look around at your peers in this forum today. 3 pages. I'm just amazed, and I'm excited that we have this many people willing to give us our time and their presence here today. And it's proof of how important this work is. And so I guess at that point, it's really time for us to get to work. Joining us next is my colleague, my friend, Phoenix's Mayor Kate, while we discuss the importance of working together regionally. Kate, good to see you.
Thank you, Chairman. Under your time leading the Maricopa Association of Governments, we have had more conversations about homelessness and put more investment at the regional level than, at least in my experience, ever before. And we appreciate your leadership, including on today's convening. I also want to thank Amy St. Peter and Eric Anderson for their leadership and really trying to bring people together across communities. Amy joined us yesterday at the Phoenix City Council to talk about the regional conversation, and my colleagues, led by Councilwoman Pastor, really appreciate the opportunity to share our Phoenix perspective, but also to learn what is happening across our region. We know it is a regional problem and that the solutions need to be regional. If one city comes up with the solution that moves people out of a park, but not into homelessness, and they end up in another community, it's not solving the challenge. And so we have to work together. As Mayor Wires said, we have more resources than ever before. And the more we can coordinate, I think the more effectively we can steward taxpayer dollars and find solutions. We know number one is putting roofs over heads, but it has to come with an understanding of each individual situation. Everyone has a different path. For me, as a mayor with an MBA, I do look at the big picture data, how many people have lost housing this year, and how many tell census researchers they're quite worried about losing their housing in the next few months. It is a huge challenge and a growing one. But I think it's also important for us to remember the individuals who are impacted. My first personal experience with the issue was after my then boyfriend returned from Iraq. And many of the people with whom he served had real family transitions while they were overseas, including one good friend who, as a result of the end of a relationship, did not have a bed to return to when he came back. And he ended up with a lot of different temporary solutions, including our couch, and had real challenges processing the difficult experiences they'd had in Iraq, but only magnified by the lack of stable housing. And just seeing how much he changed once he had permanent housing and was able to deal with all the many other challenges we each face in daily life, that has always stuck with me, with that we can solve problems for individuals and make life better. Those are the rewarding days in both elected life and working in government. I think we have a great group here who's really a who's who of people undertaking these challenges. But the one thing that unites us all is we want solutions, and we want to see people thriving in our community and address challenges. And I think with that sense of optimism, we gather here today to know this is about individuals, and it could be any one of us. The city of Phoenix is hoping to step up and do more. We've been proud to make investments, including partnerships where we've set up hotels, and in partnership with Central Arizona Shelter Service, Project Haven, where particularly older adults could go. We've partnered with US Vets for a solution for our veterans. We've partnered with Native American Connections, 1 in 10, and others to try to find solutions that make sense for individual circumstances, and to know that no one answer works for everyone. Everyone has different challenges. We also are proud to have launched a affordable housing plan for our community and a task force on ending homelessness. And we participate in many other efforts that those of you on this conversation are leading, including one focused on the West Valley and one led by our nonprofits, as well as our own Marshall Franklin, who represents us at the Maricopa Association of Governments. So we hope to be good partners and perhaps use MAG's record of success on transportation, where all have benefited from a great, strong regional plan, and really strengthen Maricopa County into a leading community working together. It's a great model, and we want to act on that record of success. And also know that transportation is part of the solution, and that if you can get transportation to a job, it is much more likely that you can get that economic success. So all of these things work together. I could not agree more with what Mayor Wires said about engaging the business community as well. As I've looked around the country at the best models, it's those models where the business community is at the forefront in partnership with nonprofit and faith. And I think with some new investments at the MAG level, we'll have more capability and staffing to do those important partnerships, from innovative financing models to businesses stepping up to lead the way in new housing solutions. Our business community has had some great success stories over the past year, and will continue to benefit from those. Next, I will take us to the East Valley and welcome Mayor Corey Woods, who's been a great leader on these issues on his time as a council member and now as mayor. Tempe's put together a great model, including using city assets to address affordable housing and also looking at a wide variety of solutions to ending homelessness. So thank you, Mayor Woods, for your leadership. The floor is yours.
Great. Well, thank you, Mayor Gallego. I really appreciate the warm introduction and for all of your comments about building our regional infrastructure. So I agree wholeheartedly. We really need to act regionally to have any true impact locally. We all own homelessness as a critical issue in our communities, and we need to take action to move people from homelessness to housing. And that's exactly why we're all here today. The purpose of this forum is to share with you the diverse perspectives and priorities gathered from extensive outreach and to offer key highlights from the robust research and data that's been analyzed to inform these efforts. And then we're going to listen. We're going to listen to what's important to you, and we're going to try to understand how each of us can be supported in this work. We are not in this work alone. Every single one of us has talented partners and people eager to be part of the solution. So for example, as Mayor Gallego even alluded to, in Tempe, we're working really closely with our first responders to better serve people experiencing homelessness. The first responders and human services staff at the city of Tempe have a great partnership, and they're even sharing data through the Homeless Management Information System. A few years ago, that was absolutely unheard of and no one was doing it. But today it's the better way of doing business, which results in better outcomes while also saving us all money. We're all here today to learn from each other, to support each other, and also to challenge each other. If we challenge each other to do more, to try new things, we will achieve better outcomes. And we can do all of this by working together. The success of this forum and our collective work that we're going to be doing with homelessness in our region is a rare, brief, and one-time event, one person at a time. But success is going to be measured in the numbers of people no longer experiencing homelessness, the number of people who are living on the edge of losing their homes, and the number of communities who are actively implementing the full range of strategies that we're all going to be discussing today. The measures of success don't need to apply to every person in our community or our region, but they really do have to have a broad reach across all of our populations. We can't afford to leave one person behind or any one community behind. And right now, some communities in our region bear a significant share of the burden and investment. And this simply doesn't work on at least a couple of levels. First, it overtaxes some communities and leaves assistance gaps in our communities. This hurts every community as a result. And then secondly, people stabilize better when they're close to the people and the places that matter most to them. When they're close to jobs, family, friends, their faith communities, healthcare, and of course, our schools. When people are forced to leave their home community because they have lost their homes, everyone suffers and everyone loses. And we're here today to make sure that we all win and that all of our communities have the support they need to serve our residents, housed or unsheltered. We're here to make sure that all people can give back to their home communities in positive ways, whether they're currently stable or trying to currently get back on their feet. Our communities need no less than our full support. A significant amount of work has been done to prepare for this event, and Julie Silas is here to share the highlights of this work and her expertise as part of the talented consultant partner we have in Homebase. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Julie Silas.
Thank you, Mayor Woods, and thanks for everyone for being part of this morning. My name is Julie Silas, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategies portfolio that the community has been developing over the last couple of months. We'll go ahead to the next slide. So we started out with 40 strategies, and they're counting in terms of ways to address homelessness across the region. And we broke them down into 5 areas: housing, services, prevention, diversion, coordination, and shelter or temporary housing solutions. Next slide. And we went through a process, the community went through a process of stakeholder engagement, a very robust process, as we referred to earlier, with surveys to law enforcement, people with lived experience, and first responders, a number of stakeholder interviews, and many stakeholder forums, including this one, from the business community, faith-based community, philanthropy, and others. Go ahead to next slide. And through that process, we were able to gather emerging trends in the data. And I want to share a little bit of those high level ones for you all, so we're all on the same page. So in the broader region, there are approximately 7,400 individuals homeless in 2020, and that was up about 11% from the prior year. And what we know about that community is that more than half of them are living without shelter. And the increase for people living unsheltered is occurring much faster than those who are living with shelter, and about 18% increase in unsheltered population. The other important data piece is that there are racial disparities in terms of the homeless population. African Americans are represented 4 times greater in the homeless population than the general population for the region, and the Native Americans approximately 2 times greater. Another important data piece that was in front of us all was the 35% of households reporting some kind of housing insecurity, so unsure whether they'll be able to pay their rent or their mortgage within the next month. And then through the homeless system of care, the data shows that people of color are more likely to return to homelessness from permanent housing than others. Go ahead and change to the next slide. Then we wanted to kind of look at what the emerging feedback, the trends were from the feedback that we're getting from all the different stakeholders that we engaged with. And what rose to the top was a real desire and need to prevent homelessness, and looking at the options for preventing homelessness and how we can address helping people stay housed before they even get to the point of homelessness, addressing some systemic inequities in the system, strengthening, and I think this was spoken about a lot already, strengthening coordination partnerships across the region, and then investing in more temporary housing focused solutions. Next slide. So through all that process and through looking at a host of materials, all the information that came through all that stakeholder engagement, the community was able to narrow down those 40 strategies to 14 priority strategies. And that's what you see on the screen here. And there, again, we categorize them in 5 categories, and they range from diversion and prevention, which is coordinating and expanding regional homelessness prevention efforts. And what that is about making sure that people can stay housed and providing rental assistance or utility assistance or things that enable them to stay stable before they become homeless, as well as diversion efforts, which is to keep people from who are on the edge of homelessness problem solving so that they don't end up being in a shelter on the streets. And then a range of other ones. So you'll see affordable housing, increase affordable housing, coordinating rehousing investment plans across the region through COVID-19 funding, engaging in more regional landlord engagement, looking at housing flexible funding pools and initiatives to make more resources available in the community. Around coordination, we're looking at engaging more people with lived experience in the solutioning and thinking about the approach. As someone else referred earlier, really digging into the data and looking at some of those system inequities and using data to help us understand better so we can you all can come up with more effective solutions. Diversifying the workforce in the organizations that work on homelessness and who are committed to anti-racism, and then coordinating cross-sector relationships outside the homeless system of care. Services is evaluating, enhancing the coordinated entry system, expanding employment assistance to people experiencing homelessness, and then for temporary housing solutions or shelter, really looking at opportunities to strengthen how the region as a whole is responding to homelessness and trying to help prevent and create opportunities to have less people who are living unsheltered. So we'll go ahead and skip the next couple slides, which are just bigger views of what I just read through with you, but for sake of time, want to make sure that we're giving opportunity for everyone else to speak. So we'll go ahead and skip through to the last slide. And that's really talking about next steps in the plan. And so we'll be starting out with finalizing on the priorities and putting out a report soon, and then developing tactics and legislative component. And then MAG is hosting a June 10th capstone event where everyone will be coming together as a whole, everyone that they've engaged over the last couple of months. And then after that, we'll be developing an implementation plan with the community, helping the community do that. And that's sort of a brief and high-level overview of the massive amount of work that has happened over the last 6 months, but I want to turn it over to Shanna Ellis, who's with the ASU Action Nexus on Homelessness, and who's also a member of the Regional Collaborative on Homelessness. And she'll offer more information about our regional strategies and the people who made this work possible. So thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Julie, for that introduction and for all your talented work on these efforts. As Mayor Woods had stated, we didn't get to this point today alone, and we won't be successful tomorrow alone. We arrived at this point thanks to the efforts of many valuable partners. I want to thank each of you for being here and for being committed to a coordinated regional response to homelessness. We are deeply grateful to your staff for helping to shape this work at every step, particularly your human service directors, managers, and InterGov reps. And I want to thank the partners of the Regional Collaborative on Homelessness, a much newer effort among 6 agencies dedicated to addressing homelessness regionally and putting together these forums. Our partners include the Arizona Housing Coalition, my employer, Arizona State University's Action Nexus on Homelessness, MAG, Maricopa County, Valley of the Sun United Way, and the Vitalist Health Foundation. Together, we are committed to providing critical support, coordination, and leadership for these regional efforts. I also want to thank the Maricopa Regional Continuum of Care. Their co-chair, Tamara Wright, will speak at the end of this event. When this event concludes, the Continuum will move forward with work as they have with MAG for over 20 years. The collaborative is working closely with them and ensuring all of our efforts align. The draft regional strategies that were sent to you before today's event and that Julie just reviewed were deeply shaped by all of these partners and more than 1,000 people from all sectors of our community, voicing their hopes for how we can address homeless better regionally. Among these voices are the ones that are not usually heard and people who are not often seen, the thousands of people experiencing homelessness right here in our neighborhoods. When I served on Tempe City Council, I made addressing homelessness and affordable housing my main priorities. I fully participated on MAG's committees and chaired the Continuum of Care. I'm excited to see the region's commitment to homelessness grow beyond my tenure. I'm also thankful to our partners for fully integrating the perspectives of people with lived experience into this work. They have unique expertise in what it takes to overcome homelessness, personal painful lessons that we all need to understand. These painful lessons hurt some more than others. We know from research through the Continuum of Care that Julie just reviewed that people of color experience homelessness at greater rates than their white counterparts locally and across the United States. And I think it needs to be stated again. African Americans experience homelessness at a rate 4 times their share in the general population. Native Americans are overrepresented by twice their share in the general population. The strategies developed for the region take these racial inequities into account. We have integrated the 4 action steps from the Continuum of Care's Racial Equity Plan directly into the regional portfolio. We have included racial equity, inclusivity, and a commitment to anti-racism and anti-oppression among our guiding principles for this work. What we do can drive change. How we do this work will drive trust with people long marginalized in our communities. In just a few moments, Tara Jackson from the Arizona Town Hall will engage you in a discussion regarding the strategies and what's important to you. Tara and her team have been instrumental in gathering and incorporating diverse perspectives into this work. A symphony of voices has been heard from different sectors, positions, and paths. Through the Town Hall's expert facilitation, her team has helped bring clarity and orderliness to a mostly online participation project that involved hundreds of organizations and over 1,000 people. By request, this forum is last in the process so that you could help prioritize the various community interests that can help address these often complicated yet important issues. As Julie stated in her presentation, you will be asked for your input on the 14 strategies developed in the categories of housing, shelter, services, coordination, as well as prevention and diversion. Many people have worked hard to develop the most viable strategies the region can implement. Your input today will help determine which strategies are prioritized for regional action when the portfolio moves forward for your approval next month. We thank you for your commitment to this work and for your partnership in the months to come. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Tara Jackson of the Arizona Town Hall to lead the discussion for today's event. Tara?
Thank you so much, Shanna. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to be a part of these conversations. And that's the part now that we're going to delve into. So if you are an elected official and would like to partake of the conversations, a few things very quickly in this limited time that can help us get the most out of your participation. If your video is not already on and you're able to turn it on, that will help me see if you physically raise your hand so I can call on you as quickly as possible. You're probably now all very familiar with Zoom, so please feel free to raise your virtual hand as well. And with the two main questions that we're going to discuss, there are a number of ways that you can provide input, because this is what matters most to all of us, is to get your input. It can be through the discussion we're about to have, which we know will feel a little bit like speed dating because of the time. So please also add your comments into the chat room. Also, there will be a survey that will be sent to you before this program is over that gives you another opportunity to weigh in. I know there are many of you I've encountered before in our standard town hall processes. So for you, I need to let you know that in this instance, we're not trying to reach a consensus. We want to get as much input from you as possible. So whether it is by physically sharing with us as part of this discussion, adding to the chat room, weighing in on that survey after the program, or we will also have a brief Zoom survey at the end of our discussion that will give you a chance to prioritize. So we're going to get started and moving pretty quickly with these questions. The first question that we would like to throw out to all of you to please weigh in on is this. From your perspective, what are the most important actions we can take as a region to prevent and reduce homelessness? And we'll have that in the chat room. So who would like to start? We really want to hear from you. I'm looking for a physical hand or virtual hand. Mayor Giles. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll all, I see a lot of mayors on this call that I know are going to participate in, so I'll just kick it off. First of all, I just want to express my appreciation for this event and for those who have spoken so far, for mayors Gallego and Woods and Wires. I underscore and support everything that's been said. When I was elected mayor 6 years ago, I remember talking about this issue and saying to members of my community and anyone else that would listen that homelessness is an issue in the city of Mesa. And it was really just a few short years after that that I changed that, and I started saying homelessness is the issue in the city of Mesa. And that was true, right up to the point of the pandemic, taking all of the oxygen out of the room, a year or so ago. But I think that the experience of the pandemic has shown a bright light on this problem, certainly regionally and in Mesa as well. I think our greatest strengths are also our greatest weaknesses in this area. The regional cooperation has been something that we've all been very, very proud of, not on this issue and on other issues regionally. And I am grateful for some communities in our region have been doing more than their share. And I'm grateful for that. But I think our greatest weakness, again, is there are some communities in our region that haven't caught on to the fact that this is a problem in their community. And that's largely due to the fact that other people have been bearing the burden. And so I think we need a shift in attitude, frankly, would be one of the first hurdles I think we need to get over. We need to embrace this as a region. We need to realize that the solution has got to be a regional solution. It's got to have everyone participating. But I think if we do that, but we've tackled major obstacles before. I'm comfortable and confident that this region, as we always do, will come together. But if there's anyone on this call who thinks I'm here to hear about other people's problems, I'm so grateful that this isn't a problem in my community to the extent it is in someone else's community. You need to realize your attitude is part of the problem. We need to get over that attitude. We need to embrace this as a region, and we all need to own this.
Thank you, Mayor Giles. And actually your comments were reflected in a lot of the gatherings that we've held already. Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting and allowing me to be part of this discussion. I'm not a mayor, but I am a county supervisor that represents nearly 900,000 people in the southwest portion of Maricopa County. I have around 7 cities that are involved in my districts, and I work with all my mayors to address many of the issues facing our municipalities and our counties. It's a partnership that I value 100%. But one of the things, and I couldn't agree more with Mayor Giles in this statement, when I got elected to the county board, I knew homelessness was an issue that we needed to address. I come from the state legislature where, to be honest, there has never, as far as I knew, my tenure, my 12 years in the legislature, ever had really a real discussion around homelessness. We need our lawmakers to start talking about it. That's one. But one thing that I come to find out, homelessness is an issue, but the issue, the number one issue facing at least my constituency, and I represent Southwest Phoenix. It's a southwest portion of Maricopa County. It's predominantly a minority majority district. It's housing. It's housing. Families are locked out of home buying. They're locked out of rental. They have their option right now is to move in with other families. I have families, 2 or 3 families living under one household. We saw it in the middle of this pandemic where you had, a household of 20 people living under one roof. One person got COVID, they all got COVID, and we saw it. And it really showed the number of families that are moving in together because they're locked out. I think housing is a critical part that needs to be addressed. We're coming up to a cliff. And there's been some discussion about it with the COVID. The cliff is coming. You have folks, and I work real closely with all my constables that have stacks of eviction notices ready to go out. And that evictions are going to really start to ramp up. And you're going to see folks that are in desperate need. So I think housing is one of the key things that we need to focus on and really make sure we have true affordable housing. I talk to all my home developers and all my home builders. I love them all. I work real well with all of them. But I've always asked them, what's your definition of affordable housing? I guarantee you my definition and their definition are 2 different definitions. We need true affordable housing. We need to open up the doors to allow people to live in a home, to bring their family under a shelter and not rely on multiple families living on one household. So with that, I just want to throw that in there. And I thank you once again for bringing this dialogue. I look forward to continue to working with MAG and all the other cities involved. Our chairman, by the way, I want to just point this out. Our chairman, Jack Sellers, made a commitment when he took the seat that he was going to make homelessness and a priority in his administration as our chairman, and he has done so so far. So with that, thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Thank you. Who else would like to add to that? I see we have a few comments in the chat. If I don't see other, yes, Councilwoman Janik.
Thank you. What I wanted to add is that I think the biggest thing, especially in Scottsdale, is that we need to recognize that we have a problem. And I don't think we're quite there because unless you recognize it, you can't solve it. And we need to get community involvement once it's recognized. We need to get publicity for the problem, for the projects that you are going to outline for us, which I so very much appreciate all the work you've done. And I think if we can just come together as a community to try to solve the problem, we'll be halfway there to getting this solved, as my predecessor said. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. Homelessness has been something I've been dealing with for the last 18 years. In Chandler, as just a citizen, I used to go down to Phoenix to help out. because that's where the problem was for me until I realized that it was at our doorstep here in Chandler. And we've been taking this very seriously here in Chandler. One thing that I have not heard mentioned that I think will really help us is the assessment of each individual based on what they are going through or why they become homeless. Mental health, my background is in medical. I am a psych nurse by trade. Mental health has been 85 to 90, up to 90% of one of the reason why people end up on the street. And I don't know if we are looking into that area, but this area, beside housing, this will be our number one. I know housing is our number one, but having that mental health issue, we can house people, but if they don't want to stay in them, if they can't stay in them, they're going to go back on the street. For the last 18 years, I've been on 12th Avenue and Madison in that corner right there, right across from Cass, and work it day in and day out. You will find me there and my team there every Sunday morning helping out. And it's important that we understand that the mental health component, it's a great, great place for us to put some energy in. Thank you so much.
And thank you for that. And if you notice, we have some comments in the chat, and it looks like Mayor Lord agrees with you with her comments. And again, I want to encourage you in this very expedited process to add those comments to chat. Those will all be considered as part of this process. And yes, Council Member Tomachev?
Tomachev, very good.
Thank you.
Good morning, and it's nice to see so many people that I haven't seen in over a year probably. So hi to all of you, familiar faces. We're facing a housing crisis, just a general housing crisis here. I mean, not just with homelessness, but that is going to compound, I believe, the issue. My real job, my day job is a residential realtor, and housing is quickly becoming unaffordable for just the average person. So, I mean, this is starting to look like, you know, a bigger storm than I think even any of us anticipated. And we had Amy and some of her colleagues were gracious enough to come to Glendale and do a presentation here recently. And I think the most startling thing to me was that the homeless population of our senior citizens is going to triple in the next 9 years. To me, that's incredibly startling. And I like to look at, use the analogy of a forest fire. You know, the first thing I think when a forest fire starts is, you know, housing is the key to this, obviously, because in a forest fire, the biggest thing you want to do is to keep it from spreading. So, you know, we have to engage and help the people who are already homeless, but in order to really make any headway, we have to, you know, draw fire lines and figure out how do we get more affordable housing? How do we get people housed? How do we get them help with mental health issues, with drug addiction, other issues that they have? But we've got to really concentrate on keeping it from continuing to spread, because the tripling of the population, people on fixed incomes with the already housing crisis, they're housed right now, but they're on fixed incomes, and in a, you know, as the price of rent and continues to escalate in this market, a lot of these people, if there's no options, are going to find themselves homeless too. So the housing market here is it's unbelievable. Every day I'm just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing, what people are willing to pay for homes. So, and the rent continues to go up, and it's going to be more and more people who, over time are not going to be able to afford to be housed. Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, this will feel a little bit like speed dating and answering these questions. And we do have some great comments in the chat room. And your comments are a really good segue to our next question, which we'll go ahead and post, which is, what support do you need to make sure your community can be fully involved in these efforts? And Mayor Ortega, based on the comment in the chat room, I don't know if you would like to answer that question or start off, or even Mayor Lord, who also had a related comment. But Mayor Ortega, I'll give it to you first. If you would like to answer, what support do you need to make sure your community can be involved?
Well, we've depended on nonprofits to partner with some temporary housing solutions. However, and rent assistance, utility assistance to keep people in their homes and apartments. However, I think with the COVID situation, it also has provided perhaps an entry point for some permanent solutions. By that, I mean the distress in the motel, hotel markets may make properties available. And I'm looking at exploring how we might be able to pick up a property, not just rent rooms, but see if that's possibly adaptable. For the homeless population, then we would need the allies in the nonprofit sector. So that's what we were able to do, renting motel rooms, but I'm more interested in trying to buy one if possible, and then convert it. So if there are other participants that would share any thoughts or insights of how temporary COVID funding could be converted into a permanent solution, I'd appreciate that.
Other thoughts or input on what you need to help address this? And I note in the comments in chat, there were some comments both in chat and by some of you verbally about the need to look at mental health and substance use issues. Would anyone like to elaborate on any assistance your community needs in those or other areas? Councilmember Ellis.
I know for us in Chandler, we are even looking into mental health court. That way, when someone is engaged with our first responders like police and things like that, it will not be a perpetual problem for them to go back into the community. We can put them through there where they will be able to get a wraparound service for their mental health issues, and also thereafter get them stable so that they will be able to stay in housing. I think what we will need right now is not only money, because if money was going to solve this problem, we would not be here having this discussion. What we need to realize at this point, I think, is to look at each individual who is homeless as a person that could have been one of us, and see that person that is crying out for help, because no human being wants to live in a state like that. And when we interface with someone, whether we are a community at large or we are a nonprofit organization, we need to see that person as a real human being and start asking them, how can we help them? And if they are not really ready for that help at that point, to stay with them through the process, to see them. It's a very hard thing. Like I said, in 18 years, I think we've taken maybe 50 to 70 people out of homelessness, but it was a lot of work for us to work with those people on day in and day out. So what we will ask is more people to really be involved into the hard issues that really can keep someone in that cycle of being homeless. We need that hard part where you see people and they need that love. There's trauma involved that we need to dig deeper in to find out why is it this person at this point can live in a position like that and still feel that it's okay. So that human part, we need to bring that in at a level where people will allow us to be in trust, so that they can trust us to help them move forward because they get stuck into that area. So that's what I think we will need right now.
And thank you for that. And I saw some heads nodding, and I should add, feel free to react to comments so we know when there is strong support for comments. That's helpful as well, whether that reaction is physically not in your head or the Zoom reaction, always helpful. Anyone else would like to weigh in? We do have some comments in chat on what would be helpful to you and your community. And Mayor Dickey, I wonder if you would like to comment at all on the chat that you placed in the chat room there relating to smaller communities.
Well, thank you for the chance. It's kind of new to me, so I'm here to learn. We don't, we have food and we have other sort of supportive facilities, but not a lot. So we really are dependent on what goes on, and so glad to see MAG tackling this way. And just last night we did our budget, and we're going to put some resources into this. Again, it's hard to gauge. I mean, I've obviously lived and been in big cities, and I understand that this is a very different situation here, but nonetheless, it's here. It's very much, a lot of the people here are very interested in trying to help. They try to help in their own ways sometimes, and we don't even know whether that is helpful. You know, going up to somebody, asking them, "Why are you here? How can I help?" And does that even help? So we're really all ears when it comes to this, and very willing to help.
It's great to hear. A lot of wonderful collaborative efforts that we've been hearing about. Who else would like to weigh in on this question? What can be done to help you out or to help the effort overall in the region? Yes, Councilmember McMahon.
Hi, this is Peggy McMahon, and Jenny and I work together, and we are both really concerned about the homelessness, and we are really excited about at least the collaboration that's going on between all the towns and cities and MAG and Town Hall. I think it's really beneficial in order for us to, you know, work together to not recreate a wheel, so that we have strength in numbers. And when I spoke with a person from a church the other day who's very interested in what should we do about the homelessness in Fountain Hills, then I explained to her that it's not a unilateral or a one city solution. You know, that we have to be really, really careful. And I explained everything that I knew that was being done, and provided resources. And we've added resource links to our town website. So it really satisfied her and helped her to know that that things are being done, and that there's a solution that's going to be done regionally, and that is going to have a greater impact, a bigger bang for the buck. So thanks. I wanted to thank everybody for that.
Thank you, Councilmember McMahon. And we have heard in some of these previous forums how helpful it would be to have one place to go to see all of the different resources or to obtain information. We have also heard repeatedly, and including here today, the need to look at some of the preventing homelessness from the beginning, whether it's mental health issues, substance use, transitional housing. Any other thoughts specifically to your community that would be helpful as part of these efforts? And remember, you can add it to chat. Now, I know with all these elected officials, I know Zoom can get in the way. There we go. Yes, Mayor Hartke.
Hello. I am and continue to be a big regional collaborator, and had the opportunity to work with MAG quite a bit. But I do also agree that there are solutions that we do need to each look at. And I don't think any city is necessarily interested in saying, almost like the Statue of Liberty, "Come to me, all who are burdened and oppressed and homeless," into downtown Phoenix. And it just creates a pressure upon them. And I know Chandler, you know, we've hired navigators that are very good at going out and resolving here some of the simpler questions that can be answered to keep people off the street, or to resolve their immediate issues, rather than just sending folks elsewhere, or just putting them into the HMIS system. So I think each community has some solutions available. We're restarting in Chandler, for example, the rotating iHelp program, and engaging a number of churches to get involved. And it's been a 7-year great solution that has taken some pressure off of Phoenix. And so we need a regional solution, but there are solutions that each of our communities can employ and address that will take the pressure off, again, of just saying we have a regional solution and it's in downtown Phoenix. I don't think that has ever been fair to Phoenix. nor do we have some of our residents in each of our communities that might dip and experience homelessness that are necessarily interested in leaving their community, where although maybe they lost their home, they still have a skill set or a community that supports them. So I'm for the regional support, but I'm also believe that we each are a node of that regional support in more than just dollars, but in addressing people, as Councilmember Ellis said, as treating people as real beings, and seeing how we can help resolve issues and the complexity at a local level as well.
Well, thank you for that. And if I don't currently see other hands, what we are going to do now, and I hope you will all participate, everyone who is a participant, is we're going to do a poll. This will allow you another opportunity to weigh in. So if we can go ahead and post that poll, I'll read it out loud. The question is, what is the most important action we can take now as a region to address homelessness? Here are your optional answers. Improve coordination and collaboration, increase community outreach and education, provide additional housing options, geographically disperse homeless assistance programs, increase access to flexible, ongoing funding, strengthen the safety net for all people through diversion and prevention, or something else. And if there is something else that you think we need to do, go ahead and specify what that is. Remember, our goal here is to gather as much of your input as possible. This poll will just be one aspect of it. I know some of you have already added wonderful comments in the chat. Please feel free to add more before this program ends. And you will already know next time you check your email that the survey about this program, including another opportunity to weigh in, is waiting in your email box. So we hope that you will respond to that as well. So it looks like we still have some of you responding to the poll. In the interest of time, what we're going to do now is I am going to turn over the Zoom stage, if you will, to Tamara Wright. And then when we close the program, we'll let you know the results of that poll. So Tamara, the Zoom floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Tara, and thank you for your support throughout the extensive outreach conducted to shape this work. It's critically important to me and the Continuum of Care Board that these efforts represent our partners, and especially the people that we serve, our most vulnerable neighbors experiencing homelessness, and you helped us accomplish that. I also want to thank all of you for sharing your aspirations of what we can do together as a region. I'm so excited to see your commitment to addressing homelessness. The Maricopa Regional Continuum of Care joins you in this commitment. We stand ready to work closely with you and align our mutual goals and to achieve this change collaboratively. Additionally, if I can just put my community solutions hat on for a second, we all are part of the Built for Zero movement, the Maricopa Regional Continuum of Care, and Community Solutions stands ready and primed to help drive these changes and potentially offer additional investment and capacity to help do that. There is so much to be done, and I feel we are better prepared now more than ever before. We face significant challenges, but we have significant strength in working together. We stand at a crossroad with stark choices ahead of us, and we know that what we have been doing, despite our best efforts and good intentions, is not working for the whole. We've seen some reductions, we've seen lots of housing placements, but we're still seeing the same outcomes where we're increasing our number of people experiencing homelessness. We need to take transformative action, and bold goals and bold ideas are going to help guide us there. And with your bravery and courage, we have your support, and that's so wonderful. Mayors and county supervisors have such a critical role to play in ensuring that their communities adopt these measures and begin driving reductions in homelessness together. Our next steps will shape the way our region addresses homelessness and how our unsheltered residents experience it. And thanks to the diverse input of more than 1,000 people and pages of research, we know what we need to do, and your participation here suggests we have the will to do it, and that's just so wonderful to have all of you here and have all of your dedication and your support. And so what we have learned through this extensive work brings us back to a few simple truths. We all need to belong. We all need to have a home. We need to have a purpose in life. We need to add value to our community. And our most vulnerable neighbors aren't different from that. They just don't have equal access to meet the needs that some other people have access to. This could be anything from the color of their skin to where they're from, their native language, or other attributes means they face discrimination and unjust policies. And we need to do everything in our power to end racism and oppression of any person for any reason. And people experiencing homelessness, again, our most vulnerable neighbors, they need us right now and they need our solutions. These are our neighbors, these are our community members, and they need opportunities to stabilize and clear pathways to housing and be an asset to our community. They need our support and they need us to listen. So next month, you will be offered the regional strategy portfolio for action. We will revise it and adapt it based on what we heard today and also based on what's happening on the ground. We continue to develop tactics for each strategy to clarify what needs to be done. We are collecting information about the best models in our region to highlight how this work is already being done if it's going really well. We are also creating legislative components and fundraising targets throughout the portfolio to demonstrate what support will be needed to implement the strategies. We encourage you to reach out and let us know how the portfolio can be strengthened. And when the portfolio is presented to you next month, you will find all of these elements and your ideas within it. So if and when the portfolio was approved in May, we will quickly pivot to developing the implementation plan. And this will launch with a capstone event to gather participants from all the forums. And we will rally around the strategies and determine how we will best put these ideas into action. We will break down these silos and build up resources to fully implement the strategies. We need to launch solutions in all communities, not just some, and your leadership is critical to achieving this. Over the next few months, you can help us take bold steps and transform the way the region responds to homelessness. So thank you in advance for taking measured strategic risks and for having difficult conversations to try something new, for reaching out beyond old comfort zones and forging new partnerships. And just as Mayor Wire said this morning, there are many communities responding courageously and creatively to the challenges we all face. And there is more to be done, and coordinating our actions regionally will ensure that we can achieve more together. The continuum of care is working hard to redefine ourselves and to focus on the most impactful ways we can address the most critical issues in homelessness in our region. We look forward to partnering with you in creating the change for our region and helping our residents. And I thank you so much for being here today and all we will do together tomorrow. This concludes our event. So for more information, please contact MAG or visit azmag.gov.
And just real quick, if you're still on, I know some have to leave. We will quickly share the results of that poll. Craig's going to throw those up. And we'll also have them if you have questions afterwards. And there you go, improved coordination and collaboration, the number one from that poll. And Amy, I don't know if you have any final words. I know we're right at the noon hour.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Your partnership in this. The communication that we have with you is critically important. We want to thank your staff. They've been such a huge form of assistance to this work. We want to thank you for your leadership. We really do look forward to working with you and moving to action. We understand that there's a lot of energy right now and interest in moving to action, and that is occurring. We are looking very intently at the fundraising, the funding that will be needed to implement these strategies, and we very much look forward to being able to take these next steps to action with your support and with your partnership. Thank you all very much. That does conclude our event. We look forward to continuing this dialogue with you in a number of different ways. Thank you very much, everyone. Great to see you today. Take care.